Hey, welcome to the channel. We hope that you enjoy today's stories and check out the chapters on the video to see all the stories for today. But before we get into this video, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to get notified when we release a new video. So let's get into the video.
Men in the online intercourse work industry. What are the dark and hidden truths of the industry?
Experience 1. A friend of mine was a cameraman in the valley for a company and told me that substance abuse was pretty rife. Like the female talent showing up with empty liquor bottles in their cars. Another was just how creepy it can be to be a cameraman sometimes, which he was. He specifically told of a scene he filmed where he had to get underneath the man getting blown and just globs of spit would fall onto his forehead while he filmed that part of the scene. It was just so freaking gross to me. Experience 2. I worked on one adult set in Bro. The smell. Ungodly. I'll never forget it. I dry heaved for about 20 minutes and couldn't go back into the room. Something deep was unlocked. Experience 3. I have a friend who was a sheltered housewife for decades, then became a widow and went down a spiral of substances and bad men. She's always asking me for advice, and I've told her no or don't do it so many times I lost count. She was a cleaner at a music studio and the owner asked her to have intercourse with a guy on film for $500. She told me about it, and of course, I told her no. She told me she needs some money for rent, so I told her to make sure he pays her up front. Of course, now there's an online intercourse work movie about her and some guy on the internet that she was never paid for. Experience 4. All those shower scenes are super cold. We're freezing our butts off in there because otherwise the camera lenses and equipment would be screwed from the steam. Experience 5. Trimix use is freaking rampant. So many injuries are caused by suspensory ligament division. If you can't come on the command, you're pretty much never going to get a job with a larger studio. I don't know about the other studios, but pretty much any shoot in Burbank is at a rented property. The whole place ends up smelling like sweat and poop if butt intercourse is being shot. Experience 6. Former gay online intercourse work actor, you get paid more or less depending on what you're willing to do. The least amount is simply nude posing or jacking off on camera. The most one would get paid for is double penetration or being the bottom in an orgy. Also, a lot of gay online intercourse work actors aren't actually gay. They simply do it for the money and they're on so many pills like Viagra and Blue Chew that they develop erectile dysfunction by the time they're in their 40s. Experience 7. If you're subscribed to a high-profile star on OnlyFans, chances are, you're not chatting with them directly. There is no way anyone has the time to chat with every single subscriber. There are social media management teams that handle this. Experience 8. During college, I used to bounce for a lot of strip clubs that were frequented by a lot of early 2000s big-name stars in black online intercourse work. A few of them told me most of the BBCs they took a pounding from were extremely painful. They just took the pain and focused on the check. Experience 9. I'm friends with a director here in Japan. The industry is a mess right now to the point where online intercourse work production might become illegal in the future. Here are some of the problems that the industry is facing. 1. Loss of revenue from online pirating. 2. Severe labor shortage, which is only made worse by needing to work longer hours for lower pay. There's only really a handful of male actors left in the industry. 3. New laws requiring a mandatory cool-off period after a shoot to allow actors to change their minds and prevent their work from entering the market. While this prevents exploitations, it also means that people need to wait a long time before getting paid for the shoot. 4. The above law is forcing actors to go underground where they are promised immediate payment but without all the safety and legal protection offered by legitimate productions. The government turns a blind eye to this because its mission was accomplished for them after passing a law. So yeah, Japan might become like South Korea soon in that aspect. Experience 10. Online intercourse work chews up its talent in some pretty cruel ways, man or woman. There's this thing called the magic 8s, or at least there used to be. 8-inch or 20-centimeter male midsection can last at least 80 minutes and still come on command and can keep it up while at least 8 people just watch. Even with the magic 8s, dudes will never make the same kind of money as their female coworkers in straight online intercourse work. If you are a dude, you often need to do gay online intercourse work just to earn a decent wage. Fluffers aren't really a thing when sildenafil, Viagra, is cheaper. The amount of misconduct on set is bonkers. It's very common for experienced talent with no ethics to take advantage of new talent before or after a scene to show them the ropes. Working in online intercourse work messes up your personal dating life, even if you are an accountant or marketing. Just mentioning that you work for an online intercourse work company makes people very leery about dating you. You are almost entirely restricted to dating in the industry. Which sucks when you are just an accountant trying to get by. Edit, since people are asking, yes, I did work in the online intercourse work industry for a very brief period. I was an equipment manager for one of the production houses. I did not date any models, but I did date in the industry. I mostly just received inventory, but I also was in charge of loaning out assets like cameras, audio recording gear, lighting, etc. Experience 11. My wife worked in online intercourse work, editing raw footage for a British online intercourse work co. A lot of what she saw was on the level of consensual between two parties. But over the 3 years she was there, she got asked to cut or make the scenes look better more and more often. A perfect example was when a male actor choked his counterpart into unconsciousness and continued to just brutalize her, face-slapping, pinching and grabbing her breasts. She tidied it up as best she could and came home freaking bawled her eyes out for 2 straight hours. She quit the next day and moved into reality TV for a while, but that too was awful, hours in treatment, and it's now out of the editing industry completely. Experience 12. Former male stripper, here. If you're approached to do some modeling shots, nude or otherwise. 1. Check to see if the photographer is legit, who has published with legit sites and or publishing houses, versus someone who just wants to get you alone for some personal spank bank material, and 2. Go to any shoot with a friend or someone you trust, and make sure they're allowed in the studio. I knew a guy who was paid for a nude modeling shoot. He went alone, and the ersatz photographer gave him a drink that was laced and took advantage of him. 3. Paperwork, paperwork, paperwork. Make sure you have some type of legal protection over your image and the photos taken of you, and or compensation, or exposure, if that's mutually agreed upon. Experience 13. My old coworker used to work in online intercourse work with his brother. A very, very large amount of semi-amateur online intercourse work is basically just finding substance addicts and giving them money or substances in exchange for the scenes. They will find dealers and give the dealers money to recommend their customers to visit the studio. A very large amount of the people you see in online intercourse work are actively in withdrawal and are willing to do anything for a fix. Experience 14. I knew a dude who worked in the Japanese online intercourse work industry. He said that often due to the pixelation, there wouldn't be penetration, and for the money shots the guys would often hold a tiny hose on their Johnson with fake jizz being pumped from off camera.
Do you like listening to these stories? Do you want to hear more of them? Then click that like button, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. And check the description for links to more videos and interesting stories. Experience 15. My career in paid studio sessions was extremely brief and would barely constitute such, but it's important to shatter the fantasy that being in the industry means you have great intercourse with hot people.
In my own experience, if I wanted work or wanted to be paid for work, I had to convince myself to have intercourse with people I was genuinely not at all sexually attracted to or in some instances even found repulsive. When you are the commodity, they, producers, agents, etc., do what they want and use you any way they see fit. Exploitation is not something you want to experience and seldom have the ability to avoid. The psychological impact of doing some of the things you're called to do is a burden that can linger for a very long time and impact your life outside of the bedroom. Experience 16. If you are a guy who does gay online intercourse work, and you are a bottom, you are either 100% okay with whatever is going to be done to you, or you have been intercourse assaulted, or you have only done 1 to 2 shoots. The number of times I've said wait a moment or slow down or stop and had the guy running the show tell the guy/guys on top of me to keep going your clothes is crazy. And that's only the low end. Some of the tops get off on it, and some of the directors do too. There is a reason that turnover for gay bottoms is crazy in the industry. Experience 17. I spent a year doing amateur online intercourse work to get through college, and then full-time for a while because I dropped out. I didn't like the weird water cooler relationship I had with the actors and crew, mostly cause acting so casually afterwards was just really awkward for me. What ended up drawing the line to the dark side for me was being recognized in public by a teenager who said I was one of her favorites and that she needed a BF my age. I was 27. While I'm not sure where in her teens she was, she looked 16 to 17 and her mom seemed a bit. I don't know how to say this, but cash me outside older adult, this really got in my head. Some of the videos I had done were 18 or barely legal, but the actresses, in my case, were actually closer to my age and just looked young. I couldn't get it out of my head that the teens that watch this stuff, because you know they do, use it to normalize inappropriate relationships. They aren't always able to separate the entertainment of it from what's actually okay. I felt this made them vulnerable to predators and just couldn't do it anymore. I quit soon after. I didn't want to be complicit. As dumb as that sounds. The upside though, the experience made me want to be better in general, so I went back to college and graduate at the end of the semester. Edit, misspelled complicit with complicate. Experience 18. My ex makes good money from OnlyFans. It is sketchy as. Lots do everything by the book, keep IDs, test regularly, have contracts, pay taxes, do safe meets, etc. But there are many who don't. The site changed its rules a couple of years ago in an attempt to ensure that everyone featured was of age and consenting. It essentially meant to feature in a video you had to have your own OnlyFans account and be verified by them. Because of it, he had to remove a few videos because some wouldn't agree to join. He was contacted by a reasonably well-known creator who offered to make that all go away. They blur the videos and then have another creator claim that they are in the video. My ex reported this to OnlyFans and supplied proof of it happening with messages and videos that tagged multiple creators in videos that clearly are not them, and it was ignored. What it essentially means is that there are countless people who have no idea they have been recorded and used in this way, being exploited for cash. The doxing is also very freaking weird. I was in one video with my ex consensually, and we did everything right. My tattoos were covered up. My face was obscured, we didn't use names, and he has a pseudonym. Despite that, he was identified, probably by someone he filmed with. They gained access to his social media, found a picture of us together at a gym event, blew them up alongside grabs from the video and mapped our freaking moles and doxed him and me. Only knew it happened because one of the people couldn't resist messaging me on Instagram to tell me he knew my secret. They are messed up. There's also a massive issue of intercourse assault. My ex is a strict top while being filmed, but he's gone to a collab where everything has been pre-agreed, and he's turned up and there are 3 guys who want to film a different scene entirely. There's this idea that the studio system was exploitative and self-publishing content creators have taken the power back, but the simple fact is that it still can be abusive, and you can still end up watching someone being abused. Experience 19. As a male content creator, the only dark things I've experienced have been unreliable/unstable talent. Women deal with a lot more BS in the industry than we do. A couple of interesting stories since we're on the topic. I showed up one day to film a scene for another independent online intercourse work guy. I wasn't in the scene this time, I was just filming for him. It was going to be a boy-girl-girl scene, and the girls had done a girl-girl scene before I got there. When I arrived, one of the girls was in the bathroom forever and I could hear her crying. They eventually told me that during the girl-girl scene, the glass dildo they were using literally broke off and was stuck in her ass. They got it out without needing to go to the hospital, but I imagine she was crying from pain and embarrassment. This isn't really a dark story but memorable for me. I did a scene with a decently known female talent. The whole scene revolved around a facial, it's how it was going to be marketed and was the main draw. Before we filmed the scene, she went on a 10-minute tirade about how much she hated jizz. Then after the scene, after taking one from me, she went on for 20 more minutes about how much she hated it. It was just awkward for me. She held up okay during the scene, but I just don't know why she continues to do facial scenes since she hates them so much, honestly, probably because it would hurt her bookings.
We hope you enjoyed listening to today's stories. If you want to see more stories, check out these videos or check the links in the description for more videos. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And ring that notification bell.